An Israeli delegation is set to head to Doha, Qatar this weekend to discuss how to keep the ceasefire with Hamas going. We are waiting for Hamas to release the names of the 3 Israeli hostages set to be freed tomorrow in exchange for more Palestinian prisoners. Sasha Petrusik is again this morning live in Jerusalem, and we'll get to all of that, of course, in the ongoing ceasefire situation. But I'd like to begin with some new developments, Sasha. The International Criminal Court is now condemning U.S. President Donald Trump and his executive order to impose sanctions on International Criminal Court workers. Tell me a little bit more about that and about Trump's decision, the executive order that has touched off this crisis.
That's right, Heather. Well, you know, after that meeting between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump in Washington this week, Netanyahu called Trump the greatest friend that Israel ever had. And these sanctions against the International Criminal Court seem to fall into that category. Trump has accused the ICC of illegitimate and baseless actions targeting not only America, but also our ally Israel. So this is really a two-pronged criticism, and he plans to sanction those who work for the court and their families with economic sanctions and visa sanctions and things like that. So this is another step, really, in what the U.S. has been doing pretty much in lockstep with Israel. The International Criminal Court, of course, a few months ago accused Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu of war crimes in Gaza. They also accused a Hamas commander of the same thing. But the particular accusations against Netanyahu are the ones that seem to have touched off all of this. And it really falls into what both countries have been doing to protect Israel. Earlier this week, we saw both countries also go against the United Nations Human Rights Council. And of course, not that long ago, Israel cut off ties with UNRWA, the main aid organization for Palestinian refugees. The U.S. did the same thing. So on that, they are in lockstep. But they also seem to have a real confluence of attitudes and policies on this proposal from Donald Trump to turn Gaza into the Riviera of the Middle East and to have the U.S. control it. And we're also hearing some of Trump's people, the people around him, his political cabinet, accusing others of criticizing the U.S. unfairly. This is what Secretary of State Marco Rubio had to say.
If some other country is willing to step forward and do that job themselves, then I encourage them to do so. But it seems to me that there are a lot of countries in the world that like to express concern about Gaza and about the Palestinian people, but very few are willing in the past to do anything concrete about it.
So this is the tone that has been set. And as I say, politicians here are very much supporting what Trump is proposing. And the two countries really do seem to be very, very close on this.
Sasha, with, as I mentioned, those ceasefire talks, the delegation's heading back to Doha in Qatar and set to resume this weekend as we look to phase 2 of all of this. How could what has happened this week and what Donald Trump is proposing, how could that affect negotiations?
Well, Heather, so far, it doesn't seem to have had an effect. We're not hearing from Hamas, for instance, that tomorrow's release of Israeli hostages is in any way being interrupted by the change in tone by these proposals. There are still some 20 hostages that are set to be released in this first phase of the ceasefire, and we're supposed to see 3 of them tomorrow. Not sure quite yet who. But certainly there is worry here that it could have an impact down the road. There was a report today from the military intelligence people in Israel predicting that this change in tone, these accusations, and in fact the fact that so many Palestinians and Arab countries have gotten angry and upset about the proposal, that could have a pretty big impact when we get to Ramadan next month, which is of course one of the most sacred holidays for Muslims, and that could be when things really get worked up. They're saying that it could in fact set the whole area ablaze, which of course is completely the opposite of what they're trying to do with the ceasefire. There are talks going on in Doha this weekend to try to extend it so that more hostages will be released and so that the war will end. But it's not clear yet whether this is having an impact on it. But it's going to be an uphill negotiation regardless. Heather?
Thank you very much, Sasha. Sasha Petrosic, he's live in Jerusalem on CBC Morning Live.